The other day, I saw a picture of Charlie Brown and Linus sitting next to each other. And Charlie Brown says, maybe this is not the Christmas to ask for everything we want, Linus. Then he continues, maybe. Maybe this year just we need to be thankful for all that we have. Words of wisdom. It's been a tough, a rough 9 months. The pandemic has upset the life of the world. It's changed how we relate to each other because of health concerns. A year ago, you were cramped in here next to each other. You couldn't breathe. Today, we say 6 feet apart. If you don't live in the same house, gotta separate. What you do in your house, I don't care. We have to follow these guidelines. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. But it's a very long tunnel, and it's going to be months. They are saying 6 or 7 months at least, until we sort of get to the end of the tunnel. So we need to keep wearing the mask. I went to anoint somebody today. I got to the front door and realized I didn't have a mask. And they came to the door. I said, I'll be right back. I have a bunch in my car. Wear a mask. Socially distance. 6 feet apart. I drove by Fred the Butcher here yesterday and today. There were people outside, socially distanced, waiting to get into Fred's. I don't know what they were shopping for, but I wasn't one of them. I do know what they were shopping for. Wash our hands. Clean it. Keep our hands clean to the best of our ability. You know, everywhere you go now, you're seeing some form of this, someplace, somewhere. Yeah? Avoid large groups. Avoid large groups. And then, all I know is that personally, when it becomes available to me, I'm getting a vaccine. On one of the news shows this morning, I was watching while I was at the gym, and they were talking about how it's been a little challenge here the first couple of weeks to get the vaccinations out to people. And they said, this is the first time we've ever done this in the history of the country. It's not true. Not true. I said to myself, I remember as a kid when they got the polio shot. I took a cube of sugar. Remember that? See, you're all dating yourself. All dating yourself. And it seemed to go smoothly. But no matter what happens here, the big thing is being patient with it all. Being patient. We will get through this. And as I alluded to at the beginning of Mass, you know, the time of Jesus was a difficult time too. I have a feeling that most of us, maybe all of us, would not have wanted to live in the time of Jesus. You think of what you got now in the world, and just think, it didn't exist then. It didn't exist. But the people of the time, the people were looking. They were waiting for the one who is to come, who would be that sign of hope, that sign of light in their darkness of their time. Much like today. You know, we hope for an answer to our prayers in this pandemic. Remember what the disciples of Jesus, or the disciples of John the Baptist, said to Jesus when they were sent by John the Baptist to Jesus, "Are you the one Or are we to look for another? Are you the one? Jesus was the one. He was the light in time of darkness. He was the hope of the people in their time of trouble and need and want. He was the promised made flesh. He was indeed Emmanuel, God with us. And this Christmas, like that first Christmas, we too are reminded that Jesus is the one. Jesus is our hope and our light and our life for our time, for all time, for sure, but for our time. And we need that reminder. As followers of Jesus, he's asked us all throughout the centuries, do you believe? And we say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. You know that I believe. And we do. But there's always a little bit more that's asked of us in that belief. How does that word of belief become real, become flesh? It needs to be seen. And so maybe this Christmas, maybe like any other Christmas, but maybe more so this Christmas, is asking us not to just look forward, that too, but to look backwards a little bit, to look back and see how the Son of God, to see how Jesus, the light of the world, came into our lives and came into the lives of other people and brought comfort and joy, brought hope and compassion, brought forgiveness and caring and sharing, and much more during these pandemic days. Hopefully Christmas reminds us again, because we do tend to forget. We all get caught up in the wrong things sometimes. But Christmas reminds us that God loves us and cares for us, not once, not just on a holiday we call Christmas, because the proof of it all is the promised one, Emmanuel, who continues to come into our world, that Spirit of God that we talk about, that Spirit of God that continues to come into the life of other people. And through ourselves and others, our godlike actions of faith, of hope, and of love, of yesterday, of today, and tomorrow, as a person, and as a family, and as a church, continue to be a blessing. God blesses us. May we be the same blessing to one another, now, always.